Ladies and gentlemen, from the Microsoft Theater here in downtown Los Angeles, brought to you by Shawn Porter Promotions, live from Los Angeles, it's time for the main event.
Working on over there.
Man, I didn't think this out.
I didn't even feel like I needed to turn. I was just watching in my periphery, if you will.
It's time for a new hairdo.
Think so?
What up, everybody? Welcome to the PorterWay Podcast. Few of y'all out there checking us out. Appreciate it. Yes, sir. Live at the Blue Wire Studios inside the Wynn Hotel and Casino. No, we're not live, but we got one guy with us today, Carson A. Merk.
I'm alive.
More than, right? More than?
I feel like it's either a state of you are or you aren't. I think you can be halfway alive.
Tell the story real quick at the movies that you told me when you said you turned on the.
Yeah. And we'll obviously get to the movie. Yeah. So we went. I can't remember what movie it was. It might have been Sonic. Was the last movie I saw in theaters. And so we're at the theater. Shout out to the South Point. Free movie tickets would be cool. But, so they have it's recliner seats, and so they have like the controls. You can lift up the footrest. And so I'm watching the movie, and I don't know how long it took me though. And I naturally, for what it's worth, like run hot. Like I always prefer to be cool. Like I just feel like I'm heavy. I feel like I naturally run hot.
I run hot.
People will know. People in the comments will know. Hafey knows. And so all of a sudden, I'm like partway through the movie, I'm like, damn, I am sweating like crazy. I was like, my ass is on fire. Like, I'm like, what is going on? And all of a sudden, I look, and I'm like looking at the thing, and there's a heat thing, so you can turn the heated seat on. And so the issue is, and as I told your wife, when you click the button to turn it on, it immediately goes full throttle.
Oh, wow.
So you click it, it starts at the highest heat, and then you click it to go down, and then obviously it turns it off. So I hadn't just like kind of turned it on, and it was like toasty.
Yeah.
It was like full throttle, like Ohio winter, defrost my butt in the 15 degree
Carson
heat.
said,
That's how we have an audience for this.
Carson said,
it's important.
Carson said he thought he was having this.
Yeah, I thought I was having a heart attack. Shout out to Hafey again. But I was seriously, I was sitting there and I was like, damn, why am I sweating so much? I was like, is this it? Like Sonic 2? Is this what takes me out? Shout out to Knuckles. But made it through. But yeah,
and we got to check out Creed 3.
Saw Creed 3. That's the reason I'm here. For anyone wondering, the agreement was made. If Shawn switched his aspirations from an evening viewing to a matinee, I would do the podcast. So, I thought it was really good. I thought it was the best.
You
one
would not have come had I not made the podcast, the matinee.
No, that was the deal that was made.
Damn.
Yeah, I don't.
So this is real, like just so y'all. This is Carson.
I don't have like any. I didn't have any interest or like burning desire. I guess burning, pun intended, with my hot butt in that movie. But to do it. But
well, real quick, obviously you guys don't see Ant's out for probably a couple weeks. I think I don't know. I was definitely gonna come to you and a few others if you hadn't shown up or whatever the case may be. But I just was like, and Carson to be there. No, Carson won't be there.
No. But we made the matinee. Creed 3. I thought it was the best of the three.
I didn't ask you what you thought about my review.
I thought it was good.
Thought my review was good. Was it? Would you say it's spot on? I gave it 4.5.
I think you gave it 4 out of 5.
Yeah. I give it 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I thought it was good. Again, I thought it was the best of the three. I thought Jonathan Majors was the guy.
Jonathan Majors is a beast.
Yeah, like Michael B. Jordan, obviously acting also. This was a directorial debut, so that kind of levels it out a little bit. Yeah, but I thought Jonathan Majors was the star of the show. Yeah, for me. And the daughter actually was. Exceptionally good as well.
They connected a few stories to, and I know we don't want to give it all away, but they connected a few stories within the Creed dynasty or whatever the case may be, the Creed series or whatever, that really kind of like brought like I said in my review, like a lot. All of the elements that make up a great film, it had all of those elements, you know. And you're right, like the daughter did not steal the show, but she definitely added a component to the movie that was really special.
You know who was damn good? I thought Jose Benavidez Jr. was great.
I did too.
I thought he was great.
Too. Yeah.
I know you have aspirations of getting into movies.
Sure.
I think he should do more.
Yeah.
Like I thought he was really good.
I looked at him. I thought to myself, like, I wonder if this is the route he's going to take now. You know,
Terrence Crawford, on the other hand, underwhelming. No, Bud was great as well. Bud,
TC didn't really get too many lines. You know,
you don't need too many lines from him. I feel like he's a method actor. I feel like
I thought something else that I thought they had like every network, or not every, but they had Zone,
Showtime
and ESPN.
Yeah, and they also I think maybe the second one had HBO, like one of the fights. So I think they just like, kind of get whatever.
Okay, but I kind of felt like that was a little, foreshadowing,
Jessica
in my
McCaskill?
personal opinion, of what is to come for boxing.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So.
I thought it was great. I would definitely highly suggest checking it out. It's doing extremely well from what I've seen in the box office.
Everybody wants to know about the boxing within the films, and they always will go to a fighter like, "Yo, was that realistic? Was that this or that?" I think it's pretty safe to assume that everyone should know by now that they are much further on the side of unrealistic than they are on the side of realistic. But at the same time, there's a fight scene at the end of this movie that
A1.
You could make the entire film.
Yeah.
That scene was just, to me, was all the way.
I always look at the boxing scenes like pad work, like the fancy Mayweather combinations that he always did, like a media day where he rips off however many punches. Like that's just how I look at the boxing scenes. Because it's like they're throwing the punches, but it's clearly choreographed. So it's like you're gonna hit here, throw the last one there, and it's so powerful. Like it looks smooth. Yeah, that was good.
And shout out to Michael B. Jordan. That was his directorial debut.
Yeah,
and I mean, just pretty awesome to see that.
Yeah.
On the other side of things, we got boxing. So
yeah. And two random things that I wanted to mention.
I wanted to go back real quick because I kind of always, sometimes I will touch back on the previous week or whatever. I didn't
watch last week's show, so I don't know what you're going to go back to.
I was going to ask you if you watched like all of the shows.
No.
You watch a majority of the show?
No.
You watch
not.
some of the show.
Sometimes the best I'll do is I'll turn it on my phone on the podcast and then just set it down. So I run up a number. So I feel like I give you guys an extra listen.
But the hell?
No, I don't watch very often.
No, yes you do.
I really don't.
You always tweet or text me.
When I'll get tagged and shout out to Kid Hyphen. He'll post something and I'm like, why are people tweeting me about something? And it'll be something from like an episode from however long ago. Like I was getting Terrence Crawford fans firing off on me about God knows what this week.
Doesn't matter.
So last week.
You did watch Tommy Fury and Jake Paul. You
Certainly
didn't.
Not. No.
Well, what the hell? You told me to check in with the other guests that I was gonna have come in today and say, hey, better make sure they watch the boxing.
Yeah, but I wasn't on the show last week. So what is that?
But you didn't realize that I was gonna go back this week?
No, I assumed you touched on that last week.
Damn it, then forget it. I won't even go back.
Well, doesn't
make sense.
My two random things.
You can't.
So and they're actually both overseas. So one, Ohara Davies won. He beat Lewis Ritson in Newcastle. The shout out though, Manchester United beat Newcastle United in a Carabao Cup final. He was fighting in Newcastle and wore a Manchester jersey. So I was digging it, and then he got the win.
Yeah.
So he's now a mandatory for a 140 title. But the other one, which I think is pretty damn cool, which I'm not sure if you saw this, but Ramla Ali, who was an Olympian last time around, is one of the Time Magazine Women of the Year.
Oh, wow.
Which I thought was pretty damn cool.
She has a hell of a story.
She is like, she has everything. She's like, she obviously does a lot.
She has everything.
She was born in Somalia, I believe. And it was like, she fought as like a refugee in the Olympics. And so she does a lot for refugees. She's a model. She's an undefeated boxer.
I'm pretty sure she represented England.
I think she did, but I think it was something she moved to England.
Okay.
From Somalia. And then she obviously does a lot. And then there was something, I'm not sure of the name of it. I think she has maybe a charity that she does that like gets refugees into boxing or women that have like overcome domestic issues. Like she just
very good.
Tip of the cap.
She's like an actress and a model. And
Is it the Sisters Club?
Sisters Club. Yeah, that was the name of it for sure.
Sisters Club.
Yeah. She's
all
great.
the good stuff. Yeah,
and undefeated as a fighter and a good fighter.
Yeah, good boxer.
Yeah,
she's a boxer.
Yeah,
you get some women in there like they're scrappy. They're like she's just a boxer. She's not gonna really scrap. She's got great. I hate to put the word great on, but her technique is really good.
Yeah.
And she's got boxer eyes.
She had like I don't want to speculate on what it was her last fight, but she won. It was a little bit of like a rough and tumble fight, but she had like a medical thing afterwards. Like that she was either really sick before the fight and didn't realize it, or like had some kind of medical thing where she had to go to the hospital. But yeah, no, she's great. So yeah, shout out to her. Time. I mean, that's like,
big.
That's huge. Like there's certain
big.
Things that people do outside of the ring that are like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
like
that's all the way up there.
That's all the way up there. But yeah, those are my two random ones. And you mentioned my hat beforehand, before anyone asked. Larry Doby broke the color barrier in the American League.
You said before anyone asked, like they can ask.
Because
right
somebody's
now.
going to ask in the comments, they're going to say, why does Carson have 14 on his hat? And so I want to get ahead of that because I'm thinking of the fans. And yeah, it's for Ebbets Field flannel.
Do you love the fans?
I do.
Good. Yeah. Hey, good answer. Good answer.
I love the fans.
You like 1 for 5.
I don't think they. I don't think they need to love me as much as they do. I appreciate it, but no. It was Larry Doby broke the color barrier a couple months after Jackie Robinson with Cleveland.
Okay.
So yeah, thought it was time to rock it.
Yeah.
Shout out to Larry Doby.
That's not who Marvin was talking about the other day, was it? Did you happen to hear? I
don't think I caught.
Okay.
I don't think I caught.
Okay, you weren't. You weren't in the conversation.
But yeah, shout out to Larry Doby. But yeah, boxing yesterday, Showtime, I think was the card.
Oh, thought you were calling.
Yeah, I know. I see what you did there. On the YouTube preliminary show.
You watched that?
I had it on a little bit. There was a lot of sports on yesterday. Cavs were playing the Pistons. I was watching that.
I didn't get a text.
Yeah. MLS soccer. MLS is on, so I was watching that. But I kind of had it on. Luke Thomas and Brian Campbell, my guy.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that. I'm a fan of Brian Campbell.
And they do a really good job on there.
Never met Brian Campbell, but shout out to Brian Campbell. I'm a fan. I like what he does.
He'll probably be here for
Benavidez
and playing. Yeah.
But I had them
I'll
on.
introduce. I'll make a
appreciate that.
face to face.
But yeah, on there, I'm trying to think.
You like them on there?
Yeah, it's kind of awkward. Not that they're
little.
awkward. It's just like the setup of it's kind of weird.
A little,
like they're not typically in the arena, so they're just kind of watching it while you're watching it. But, I think they're both good. I like what they do.
I like them both. They do really good on the show.
Yeah, the two notable outcomes on that would be Travon Marshall had a knockout win. He is pretty damn good. Justin DeLoche-Doc was who he knocked out, but he looks like he's gonna be the real deal.
Yeah.
And then Cleveland's own.
Yeah.
Terrell Gausha.
Yeah.
Got a win against Brandon Lynch, who was a former Shawn Porter counterpart.
Yeah, that one hurt to watch. It hurt to watch.
It's happy to see Terrell get back in and
absolutely
call him though. Yeah,
absolutely. And I'm curious to see where he wants to go next. You know, I'm 35. Terrell's got to be 34, 35. Yeah. You know, so it's just I think right here is kind of for some fighters it's kind of interesting to see. What are my goals? What do I want to do now? You know, he could either be pushing to get into a title contention ASAP, or he could be just taking his time, you know, collecting some checks and, you know, kind of getting back into the groove of things, you know. So
and then going into the triple header on Showtime on the actual broadcast. I'll be first to admit I wasn't familiar beforehand. Man, am I a fan of Elijah Garcia?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Yeah. That guy was doing it, man.
Yeah.
He's also 19.
What is that weight? Yeah, what is that weight?
He was at 160.
160, yeah. I couldn't tell if he was 54 or 60.
It was at 60, 19, and his story, they were being this, I wasn't familiar. I was like kind of absorbing all of what they're mentioning, like all these different things about him. Mm-hmm. He's 19. He's got 2 kids. He had his first kid at like 16 and married. And he's undefeated. And he went in there against another undefeated fighter. And I had low expectations, to be candid, about the undercard. It was just kind of like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And that was a great way to start it.
Yeah.
All action.
Yeah, great way to start. I mean, just, it really wasn't back and forth it was just a lot of action.
Yeah.
And I think we got that in the co-main too. For sure. There's a lot of action in the co-main. This action was much cleaner, I think. Yeah. It was more exciting, you know, and obviously the big finish, you know.
Yeah.
Hell of a...
When he was... He was funny. I think I loved what I saw from him in the ring. He was pretty funny afterwards with Jim Gray. Like, he asked him if he was going to be ranked in the top whatever in WBC. And Jim Gray was like, I don't make the rankings.
Yeah.
He seems like a really good kid. He's from Arizona, I believe. And man, he brought it.
Yeah.
And 160 right now is like kind of in a weird spot where it's like some good fighters there, but it's like there's not a ton like really shaking as far as like,
Yeah.
I really want to see fighter A and fighter B.
Yeah.
And so I don't know when he'll get to where he's getting.
Hafey, do you know if he's been on Showbox?
That's a good question.
I don't think so. I thought they said that it was his television debut.
I didn't think he was on Showbox, and the reason why I'm bringing that up is because it's kind of like that. There's a graduation period that you go through within the Showtime network, and I heard the name. I've seen him, seen highlights of him, but I mean, a treat.
Yeah.
To watch at 19 to watch him go toe to toe like that, and be able to.
Wasn't a flawless performance by any means, but I don't think he cares. Like, got a great win.
Yeah.
Again, beat an undefeated fighter.
Yeah.
It was. I came away very impressed. That guy, he can go.
Hell of an introduction.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
To I mean, I really wouldn't say the mainstream, but like, you know, hell of an introduction.
People turned on the Showtime card. And that was the first guy they saw.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that was a hell of an introduction when you don't have Showboxing, you don't have the average boxing fan saying, "Oh, well, I can't wait to see him on Showtime." You know what I mean? So the hell of an introduction into that.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see what he kind of the way they move him afterwards and see where he ends up.
The one thing I do want to say though is I could tell by the way he moved and the way he threw his punches and things like that. It's kind of like defense isn't really a thought
in for him.
So we need to work on that.
Yeah,
because what you can't have is at 19 getting taken.
Too many shots, punches
from real men, especially at 160. You know, you could be 25 and you have a lot of grown strength at 25. If he's in the ring with a 25-year-old, imagine if he takes those kind of punches from a 30-year-old, what the everlasting effect could be. You know what I mean? So that's why a lot of times you have Showbox, you have an opportunity to get that kind of energy out. That way, when it's your first time on the Showtime series, now you're used to it. So
he was. And that when in the stoppage, like you mentioned, it was an action fight. I was thoroughly entertained, and then all of a sudden it was like, whoa, what the heck?
Yeah,
he hits him with a shot, and he kind of stumbles back, and then all of a sudden he's landing huge flush punches. I'm not sure how I felt about the stoppage. I usually err on the side of that's fine.
Again, it's kind of like when both guys have been taking punch, and same thing in the co-main. Guys are taking punches. Eventually, that ref begins to look at, okay, I'm looking for a moment. Yeah. And I think that at that point, what round was that?
I'm not sure what round that was.
It was
that
the
was it the last round?
Fourth.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say 6 is what came to mind.
Yeah.
No, it was a great closing sequence. Landed the punches he needed to, and gets the stoppage. Yeah. I certainly will be tuned in.
He did fight on the Rivera Martin undercard. I don't know if he was featured on the stream or not, but there you go.
Maybe on the YouTube portion potentially. Yeah, he was he's good though. He certainly has a fan of me. I'll be tuning in.
A little different, just for everyone to know, it's a little different when you're being directed by producers now to come getting your stage position, and then now you really got to pick your ring music and things like that. The energy is just a little different, and that's why I kind of brought up Showboxes.
Lights get a little brighter.
Yeah, the lights. There you go.
Especially these lights. So burning a hole in my back.
You're not having a stroke.
Yeah. Okay, wait a second. It was a good entrance into the evening of boxing, and then next up was Jarret Hurd, Jarret Hurd, and Resendiz.
Two names I've been pleasantly surprised to see back.
Jarret Hurd.
Jamal James and then Jarret Hurd. Like those are two guys that those are two guys that
I really was excited to see Jarret Hurd back. Jamal James.
Now I'm not saying excited to see, but I was just like wow, he's getting back in the ring.
Yeah.
Didn't expect that. Jarret Hurd's been on 11-month layoff or something like that. Then he's back in the ring.
He fought Luis
14-month layover.
Summer
14 months?
2021.
Yeah.
And then I think his dad passed away not long after that. And then he's been out since then.
Yeah.
The fight was.
I thought he got one in since his dad had passed away.
No,
his last fight was June of 2021.
Yeah, against Luis Arias. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly when his dad passed in that process, but the fight yesterday was. It's tough to see somebody that where it's just something's off. I'm like, it's just like he'd land a punch and he just kind of was sitting there and would watch it for a second. I'm like, come on, man, to get out of there. To throw this punch and get out of the way. And it was just like he's just like kind of a step slow, which I don't know if that's he's been through a lot inside the ring, obviously, and outside of the ring. I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's ring rust. I don't know if it's just that's what happens, or obviously fighter yesterday was throwing punches and was landing punches. So,
I mean, he was never like he wasn't like flashingly fast. And he never really displayed much defense anyway.
Fair point.
So I think the other side of that is now you got a younger guy who is literally throwing punches in bunches. And it's like, even though you guys are, again, it was a little back and forth war and you guys are trading shots, the other guy decided to start to step around a little bit and leave some of the shots. Not all, but some of. And you got a guy like Jarret Hurd who clearly is bigger than this guy, even at 160. And it's like, okay, you pack a punch, and I understand that you believe in this punch. But number one, throw that punch and try to use some defense to so that you don't have as much wear and tear throughout this fight. But the other side of that is, if you believe in your power, deliver one, then deliver two, then deliver three. And it was like, I felt there were moments where he could have kept going, and he just didn't.
And that was what his trainer was saying in the corner. He was like, you know who you are. Like, remember who you are. Like,
that's who we used to be.
And it was tough. And that guy, Resendiz, that he was fighting was at 168. And then yesterday was at 160. And they said
he's bounced around.
They said his trainer says he's best at 54. They think he can get to 54. I was like, damn, he's
bounced around. And, you know, I agree. I think 54 could be the spot for him.
As far as Jarret Hurd goes, I don't know. I don't know what his mindset is or what he wants to do. Like, if this is the point where he feels he's done all he wants to in boxing.
Resendiz, right?
I feel like I'm saying his name right. Resendiz?
Resendiz.
Armando?
I think
he's fought as heavy as 178.
Oh, my.
He's never fought at 154. From
what they were saying that's where they think he could get to maybe eventually, but
interesting.
So what I was going to say about him is what offsets him, especially, and even at 160, is his speed. He's got some explosive ability, it looked like, and he's also got some speed. So as you get bigger, obviously, the guys slow down a little bit. I'm saying he should go down to 54, but then I'm thinking about, well, you kind of even the playing field from a standpoint of speed, quickness, agility, opposed to staying at 160, you know? So it looked like he was giving up a little bit of height, but if you fought as high as 175, you're a regular old Showtime Shawn Porter, where you know you could fight with the biggest of them and the smallest of them. You know what I mean? So
what do you maybe 160 think about what Jarret Hurd is going to be looking at?
Jarret has had a lot of wars. Jarret just had a lot of wars. You sped past it, so I wasn't going to mention. I wasn't going to say anything, but I feel like on this card, the two guys who have probably are past their prime and past their best performances, Justin Deloach and also Jarret Hurd. I think both of those guys have had some wars and have had a little bit too much wear and tear on them to expect to put on, like Jarret Hurd, that was a 10-round fight, and probably around 6 or 7 is where he really started to kind of plateau and fall off, you know? So the question is, what do you do if you're if you're Jarret Hurd and you've been to the top a couple of times? You know, it just kind of is, what do I want to do now? You know, I feel like that should be the question that's proposed on this podcast, opposed to retiring someone or telling them to find a new profession or anything like that. I think, just simply put, you've had some wars. This is not all about money, you know? If it's about money, have you gotten all that you could get? That because now you take another loss and you know that next check is not even going to be as big as this check, you know? So then, even from a standpoint of championships or big fights to be in, where are you in that standpoint as well, you know? So I think that there's definitely some things he's going to have to think about.
I think
measure.
I think you kind of alluded to it with Terrell earlier. I think for Jarret Hurd, it's just what he wants to do. If you want to continue to fight, if you feel like you got more to do in the game, that's fine. I'm not sure, obviously. So you're coming off 2 losses now against Luis Arias and Resendiz. Like, you're obviously not, like, you didn't move up. Like, you didn't get back into the mix. Obviously now he's at 60. But if you want to just fight and make money and do what you love to do it. But
I'm curious to see what Terrell does. Because he went from fighting main event to now fighting before TV. Big knockout. But along the way, the fight wasn't overly exciting, but it wasn't wasn't like I thought he was handling Brandon Lynch round after round.
Yeah.
Very technician, you know. And that's who he's always been.
Yeah.
But if he happens to be on another Showtime preliminary card and he gets a big knockout and he has a great showing, then there's consideration for him to be on a televised portion of a card, and then he can position himself into a big fight.
Yeah.
On the other side of that, you got Jarret Hurd, who was on TV, and now you pull him off. You pull down his money, and the list goes on. You know, so that's where this game does get kind of intricate for fighters like Jarret Hurd, fighters like Terrell. Terrell may have been a tough pill for him to swallow, not being on TV. I know it would be for me. That's that. But those were my aspirations. Yeah. I wanted to be seen. I wanted to be in the ring when everybody was there. You know. And if that's not what Terrell's all about, then all to him for whatever he wants. You know, same thing with Jarret Hurd.
Their prerogative, as Bobby Brown once said.
My guy.
So that was the co-main, and then main event. Mark Magsayo, Brandon Figueroa. You very well could be the worst scorer in boxing history.
Oh man!
I'll go back to it. I didn't see Fury and Jake Paul, but based on a lot of people were saying that your scores were off there. Having not seen that fight, I assume your score was way off there. But yeah, yesterday, I don't know. I thought it was a close fight. I guess we can kind of start there.
My score with Tommy Fury and Jake Paul, it was back and forth. Yeah. So it was like he won one round, he won one. This one right here was
it was a clean sweep. It was easy work.
I want to tell you guys, I'm not defending my score. I'm just explaining.
Here's the thing. How to score.
Number one, I don't know how to score. Thank you for throwing that up. Number one, I don't know how to score. Number two, this is the problem that a lot of judges have. If a judge goes into a fight expecting a fighter to fight a certain way, if that's what the judge sees, the judge may very well score that way. Okay. So when you guys see a lopsided score, I've been in this game for a long time, but I knew that Mark Magsayo needed to outbox Brandon
Figueroa, heartbreaker.
The heartbreaker. He needed to outbox the heartbreaker. And once I see that happen,
you were like, ding, ding, ding.
So the judges have a harder job than everybody thinks. You all think that, well, I can score a fight, no problem. Yeah, until you come up against a fight with fighters that you've seen time and time again. You have an expectation for both fighters, and it starts to play whatever way your mind has you thinking, and you may see something that no one else is seeing. I was seeing
I wasn't seeing it. I know I wasn't seeing it.
Well, damn, why did you stop me?
That was something. I thought it was a really good fight. I thought it was close. I thought Figueroa won, but I thought it was close.
I think it was. Yeah.
One thing, and I know we've joked before about how she cooked us for our previous incorrect predictions, but I have to give a huge shout out to his sister Ohara. He might have the best gas tank in boxing. Yeah. Like he's unbelievable. And she's obviously his strength and conditioning coach as well as a nutritionist. So shout out to Ohara. But that dude, it's just nonstop.
And that's what the boxing game is about, cracking code.
Yeah.
You know, so they obviously have a code down there that's working for them. Yeah. They get this kid in shape, and I knew that this was going to be 12 rounds. I really did think that Mark Magsayo was outboxing Brandon Figueroa a majority of the fight, but you could just see that upwards to maybe a minute and 30 into every round, and it was like that Mark started to slow down.
Yeah, and Figueroa was just like, nah, man, I'm always on go. The one frustration I had with both guys, Magsayo was the holding. Jesus, man, come on, because he would, and it was frustrating because he would fire off these combinations. I'm like, okay, there you go. Like you're stepping around, and then all of a sudden you're tying up again. I'm like, you just proved you can do it. And why are you leaning back on this? And then for Figueroa, it would Magsayo, and it wasn't like a full hold, like it was just kind of like leaning or clinching, kind of a little bit low. Mm-hmm. I'm like, Figueroa, take one step off to the side. Yeah. You want to throw an uppercut or hook, just a quick step off, and you got a free shot.
Yeah. For Mark, imagine when Need for Speed, when Fast and the Furious first jumped off. and everybody's
27 years ago at this point.
Yeah, and they're still doing them. But when everybody, you hit the Nas.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how Mark was. When you see that burst, it's the Nas.
Yeah.
But that Nas goes out,
Burns
and
out.
it's like it has to rebuild itself.
Yeah.
And that's why we would see him with these big spurts, and then at the end of every round, he had one more big spurt for everybody. In between all that, it's like I'm trying to cruise, and this guy is not allowing me to cruise.
He does not allow you to cruise.
Yeah.
There was a hilarious moment of afterwards.
We over our time. Was that our mark today?
You're good.
But so afterwards, first off, leaving the ring, Sean Gibbons is like, and we'll get back a little bit to the fight, but he's like, you can't, there's no audio, and he's like pointing at the camera, and he's like, I don't know what he's saying, but he's fired up. And so he's mad. And then and I'm watching a video, shout to FightHype, shout to Zittel. And they're afterwards, they're in the locker room, and Figueroa's team and Magsayo's team, they're congratulating each other, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then Magsayo and Sean Gibbons just start going off about they're both holding, this is boxing, that's what you do in boxing. And I'm like, come on, man. It's just tough where it's like, I just didn't think it was necessary, but I get, like you said, where if you want to be, and cruise control is probably putting it, lightly, but like,
you cannot cruise.
Like,
there's no cruise control.
you
with
can't against Brandon Figueroa.
Yeah.
And so I get it to an extent, but I'm like, man, like, that was a lot of holding.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about, in the interview, they were kind of talking about, well, did he warn you? And no, and he said both of us were holding, and it was it was kind of just, it was ugly.
Tom is a really good ref.
Yeah.
And I thought that he did a really good job, like controlling the fight, controlling the action, making sure both guys fought. There were some points where Mark really did start to actually hold. There's a difference between the clinch and the hold. Then that's a whole nother thing. I think I think it's the same. But I think that the clinch is once the ref comes in and he taps the arms, or he says, let go, and then you let go, that's when it becomes a clinch. Once you continue to hold, after that point is when it becomes a hold. And so I thought Tom was really clear with everything that he was doing in the ring. The only thing I wished for this fight was that Tom, before he took that point, that second time he took points, I wish he had looked Mark in the eyes and said, hey, I've already taken points from you. I'm going to do it again. Stop holding. I think that's what, so you always, when you talk about a stern warning, to me, those are the words of a stern warning. Do it again. You already know, you've been told. You already have points taken. I understand you're trying to survive. I don't want to take this away from you. So this is what I'm going to tell you, so that you know that it's not me taking it away from you. I bet when Sean Gibbons and everyone went to sleep last night, they probably felt like Tom was the one that took it.
I already know he's 5. Sean Gibbons woke up on 10 today. I already know that.
But the bottom line is, like those were survival tactics. You could hear the crowd start to boo. We know when you're hitting the canvas repeatedly, or your head ends up outside of the ring repeatedly. Those are the body. That's the body language of someone who needs a rest, who needs a moment to themselves. And
Figueroa does not give you that.
Fig is not going to give that to you.
He's really good, man. Figueroa. What were you going to say? You can disagree?
I want him to box like better. box more.
Well, we also had, in his last fight was his debut at 126 against Castro, and we kind of criticized him for that because he came out and boxed a little bit.
And he tried to do the same thing in this fight.
A little bit, but then he was like, okay, I'm Brandon Figueroa.
Something called controlled aggression. So when you're being aggressive and all of a sudden you're being held and things like that, it's not just the fighter just came up on you and tried to hold you. You weren't working your hands from the outside, and then you got into a position where you couldn't work your hands on the inside, So that's what I mean by like boxing better.
How responsible is, and you've had, I would say, 2 fights that this would come into play heavily. The Kell Brook fight, obviously, and then the Adrian Broner fight where he got a point taken. Shenanigans. How much responsibility falls to the fighter being held to stop that from happening?
My dad put it all on me. If you don't know by now, my dad put it all on me. He complained publicly about Kell holding and things like that. When we got back to the gym, it was, I understand he was holding, but this is what you did, And my dad he was like, we're not going to accept this anymore. I do feel like you won that fight, but we're gonna make it so that that's not a reason you lose. You know, so yeah, I think that is just as much the fight,
the holdee as the holder.
Yeah, there you go, there you go. I think it's just as much the holdee as well as the holder. I think that if Brandon's running his hands, there to me there was more opportunity for a knockout. I wanted to see more double jabs and right hands from the outside to create what he was trying to get closer to Mark for. You know, Mark was so this is what I told my wife last night. I said, every Filipino fighter aspires to be Manny Pacquiao. I said, right now, Mark is doing his best, like not impression, but he's fighting as close to a Manny Pacquiao as he can. I said, no, he does not have the explosion that Manny had. No, you don't see that crazy power that Manny had, but you see left and right movement. You see a lot of spurts where there's like 6 or 7 straight punches just thrown in the row. Yeah. It was like, he was fun to watch last night. Yeah. And I'm smiling out because I'm like, damn, like I see a little hint of Manny Pacquiao there, which I bet is what every Filipino fighter wants to hear, you know? So I did. I thought that he fought, you know, really good. I did think that he lost the fight. I don't know how my score was. Yeah, so which is why I just stopped.
Yeah, and some of the...
But I felt like with having points taken away 2 times, like tough. It kind of...
That's tough. Yeah, and thankfully, I think in these instances where the right guy wins, where I don't think a lot of people that I saw on Twitter or anything thought Magsayo won, but the scorecards were obscenely wide.
Very.
There was one that I think had Magsayo winning 1 and 2, and then was goose eggs the whole rest of the thing. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, that's a lot.
Yeah.
But what do you think? So as far as now, Brandon Figueroa gets the mandatory shot.
He's over Ray, right?
At Ray Vargas. I think he beats Ray Vargas. I
thought that fight might actually end in a draw because of
the
points and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And obviously you've seen what happens. Did you had Brandon Figueroa even with the points winning narrowly, like close?
Yeah, it was close. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think I have a tough time letting go of like a recent performance. It's like Ray Vargas' last fight against Oshaki Foster. Obviously, Oshaki was great.
Yeah,
but Vargas was abysmal in that fight.
Yeah.
And so I have a tough time now. I'm like, okay, now we project forward. He fights Figueroa, probably the mandatory.
Sure.
I'm like, oh yeah, he's gonna beat Ray Vargas. Which part of it, I think he beats him, and part of it is, man, you were so bad in your last fight. Like, what the hell happened?
Ray can punch.
Figueroa also, his chin might be made of what this table is made of. Like I'm not sure if I've ever seen him wobble. Like maybe Fulton got him maybe once, but I'm like, yeah, I haven't really seen him wobble.
Because I thought last night it's like Mark's he's gonna walk him into something, and it was nothing.
He's hitting him with clean punches.
Yeah,
nothing.
Yeah,
didn't even bat an eye. So
they're in Texas, right?
They're in Texas.
Going down around there in Texas, man.
Strong, man. Also, one random thing to go back to, Resendiz that fought Hurd sparred with Virgil Ortiz. I'm like, talk about a pressure fighter to go against Jarret Hurd. Obviously, he's a pressure fighter. Virgil Ortiz, good guy to spar with.
Sure.
But 126 is getting pretty hot.
Yeah.
You have no unified champions at the moment. You have Bronco Lara, Luis Alberto Lopez, and Ray Vargas, and then our guy Robesi fights in April. April 1st, maybe?
Yeah.
Against Dogbe for the vacant title that
Oklahoma.
Navarrete vacated. So you have like a lot of these guys in the mix, and there's not like a guy where I'm like, oh, he's clearly the best. There's like...
Just want a reaction from you. We talked about Gary Russell moving up to 126. And
Russell fights at 126. What do you mean moving up
I thought he was at 20...
No, he lost his title to...
Oh, no. We talked about him moving up to 130. Excuse me. My fault. We talked about him moving up to 130. Okay. But even at 126, it's still like, you're right. Like the pool is really...
There's just not a guy right now that I'm like, oh, yeah, he's clearly the best.
Yeah.
And all of them are like... Flawed isn't the word I would use, but not flawless. So like Figueroa gets hit a lot. And Jim Gray, even before the fight, was like, you get hit 23 times per round. I'm like, Jesus, man. Like, whoa, what kind of question is that? But like Figueroa gets hit a lot. Vargas gets hit a lot. He's been down before. He obviously has trouble with fighters that can move. Oshaki Foster proved that. Robesi Ramirez has a loss. Luis Alberto Lopez has 2 losses.
Yeah.
And he throws crazy wide punches.
Yeah.
Bronco Lara was probably losing comfortably to Lee Wood and then iced him. So all of them have enough like deficiencies in their game,
right?
Where those matchups
to
are all,
make
like,
great matchups, yeah,
like unbelievable offensive, shootouts.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see
a lot of offensive shootout, like all
right. Like none of those fighters are like super defensively sound and like outside fighters. I think Oshaki's probably the best, but he's at 130. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that kind of shakes out, and you get these matchups. Hopefully, we see Vargas and Figueroa next, because Fulton obviously
you just can't count out Fig.
No, hell no.
You can't count him out.
No,
he's
gonna wear you down, man.
Yeah,
he's like erosion. He's just like he's gonna just break you down. Like there's nothing you can do. He's inevitable. Yeah, like it's just gonna happen. Yeah, he's gonna be there all night.
And asked if Mark was a front runner. I think you're gonna find out. Against Fig. If you could be a front runner, you're gonna find out against Brandon Figueroa.
Yeah, Figueroa. But again, shout out to him and his team. It was a great performance.
Yeah,
we'll see what ends up happening if he gets the belt off of Vargas.
At some point, you have to say, like, you could talk, all day and all night about what a fighter could do, what a fighter should do. Of course, I've said that Brandon Figueroa needs more defense. He needs to box a little more from the outside to create the pressure that he's trying to bring the guys and things like that. I think that he needs to do a better job of cutting off the ring, which is just kind of minimizing the space that a fighter can use. Yeah. And there's just different techniques with both the legs and the fists that you can use to cut off the ring. Everybody thinks that it means going on a certain angle. That's not it. It's just kind of like minimizing based on angles, of course, the ring, whatever the case may be. But at some point, you just have to say, well, this is who this fighter is. Yeah. And who's gonna beat him?
And it's working.
And I just aside from a punch, but then when is that punch gonna be?
Yeah, and like his only loss is the Cool Boy Steph, which was a close fight, and Cool Boy Steph's one of the best fighters in boxing. So I'm like, there's no shame in that. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I think he beats Vargas again. Probably recency bias.
I heard
Vargas.
in the show they in the like the little 1-on-1 interview or whatever. He said, I like getting hit. I was like,
No, thank you.
Yeah, because he was talking about how everybody said, he should model and things like that. He said, I love boxing. I was made for this. I love getting hit. I was like,
more power to him, I guess. And then, so that was this past weekend. And then next week, Showtime back in action again. Tszyu-Harrison.
Yeah, buddy.
The man himself. It's going to be a good fight. I will disclaimer, I am a huge Tszyu-Harrison fan. For anyone that isn't aware. Yeah. So anyone that's like, oh man, you're not giving Tim Tszyu credit. I'm a huge Tszyu-Harrison fan. Yeah. So it's tough to. Yeah. But as a huge Tszyu-Harrison fan, I think the outcomes would be Tszyu-Harrison outboxes Tim Tszyu. Because I think Tim Tszyu is a good boxer. Like I don't think he's just this huge puncher, but I think Tszyu-Harrison is probably one of the best skilled boxers in boxing. Yeah. So that's like is what it is. Yeah. But the chin, like I understand it is what it is. We kind of talked to Tony about it a little bit when we had him on. Like that's a huge factor. Yeah. And Tim Tszyu clearly has power. So I don't know.
Tony used to have like this deceptive power, like where he would just throw a right hand and it would just stun guys and put them down and they wouldn't get up. And then he had the same thing. I've seen him throw hooks and sleep guys. I've seen him throw mostly that right hand. He would sleep guys. And I think like with age and maturity, I just don't think that the power, that stinging power is there the way that it used to be. All the while, I think that Tim now is the guy with this deceptive power. Yeah, and like not crazy fast, not crazy explosive, where you just know if that punch lands, it's like he doesn't throw his punches like that, you know? But he has like this deceptive power where it lands, it thumps, and he's able to like really hurt guys, So it's I think it's gonna be an interesting fight because Tony is gonna box. Yeah. And he's gonna line up the right hand. Hopefully he is not gun shy and he lets it rip, because if he lets it rip, Tim could very well walk into something. If he doesn't walk into something, now he's put on notice that Tony's there to fight. And then it becomes a really interesting fight. On paper, I think that it looks like this is a fight for Tim to win,
Think so.
But
I got Tony for sure.
Well, I said on paper, it looks like it's a fight for Tim to win.
And credit to Tim Tszyu for taking Tszyu-Harrison as the fight because he was obviously supposed to fight Jamel Charlo.
Jamel, yeah.
And then Jamel gets hurt, and then Tim Tszyu could have fought. He could have waited for Charlo to get back. He could have taken a much lesser opponent than Tszyu-Harrison. So kudos to him.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like on paper, it's designed to make Tim Tszyu versus Jermell Charlo more interesting.
Yeah.
If Tim takes out Tony, it just the narrative there becomes a little more. There's more to talk about. Right now you just have him being the son of a great fighter. You have him being an Australian fighter and things like that. So
I need that. I need the trilogy.
You want the trilogy?
100%.
Everybody wants the trilogy.
And I know
you just want a trilogy.
And he's not here, but I can assure you, Ant wants the trilogy.
Well, you haven't been watching the shows. If you have been watching,
I know Ant personally to know that he wants that trilogy. But
he wants the trilogy.
It would be great. And I think, even if you look at the first two fights with Charlo, with Tony, first fight obviously he wins, outboxing him. I had him winning the second fight, and then all of a sudden the chin didn't hold up, and it kind of was what it was.
It's a 12-round fight, and it is whoever's the most consistent wins this fight.
Is it? Am I oversimplifying it that either Tony outboxes him or Tim catches him and hurts him at some point? That's just that's as basic as it pops up in my head.
I don't think that's it. I think Tim could out hustle Tony and just win on points, which I think would kind of be a little more of I want to say boring, but kind of like a duller fight than most of us would want. Especially for Tim. Again, just look at the narrative, and you see that this is written for Tim to win. But you need Tim to look great, because what's been said about Jermell is that even though he's got all the belts, like who's next for him? Is it everybody wants him to move up because there's nobody else for him at 154? But then if this becomes exciting for Tim, then everybody says, "Well, okay, we got one here." But I think that something dull could happen where Tony moves and outboxes and either boxes to a victory or boxes to a dulling point defeat.
I would be very surprised if Tony loses on points without knockdowns coming into play. Like somehow if he gets dropped a couple of times and then gets the end, I don't think Tony gets outboxed by Tim Tszyu.
Yeah.
So I don't. Did I say that wrong?
What? No,
you made a weird face. Like, no. I don't think Tim Tszyu's outboxing Tony
because
Harrison.
you still got to understand, and I don't. I feel like I'm painting a picture that this fight's going to be boring, and I don't want to do that. Yeah. But what I do believe is that Tony can move out of range, move out of range, and even though we see him boxing, and we see that Tim can't catch up, and Tim lucks up and lands 2 punches, and Tony only lands 1, 2-1. You know what I mean? So
I still lean that way. Rigondeaux beat Casadero.
I don't know, man. I think overall, I think Tim is going to come in. Let me paint the real picture here. I think Tim is going to come in and be aggressive. And I like what you said first. Hey, am I making this too simple? But it actually is
like that simple. That's how I look at it. Yeah. And especially coming off those Charlo fights. Obviously, we saw Tony fight Sergio Garcia.
I still believe in the power that Tony.
You think
that I've seen Tony have. And so it's because the question I was going to ask is, if this fight ends in knockout, who wins by knockout?
I think if it's a knockout, Tszyu wins. If it's points, Tony wins.
Yeah.
I think if we'll rank this to wrap up on that. I think my prediction would be Harrison on points, Tszyu knockout, Harrison knockout, Tszyu on points. That's how I would look at it. I'm excited for it. I love Tony Harrison. I am excited to see him back in there going over to Australia.
Does Devin winning 2 fights on the cards give you confidence that Tony can go over there and win on the cards? Everybody always has the, home field,
I guess. Devin.
No, I'm saying does that give you confidence that he could do it?
Yeah.
Or you're just like,
it wasn't a huge,
doesn't matter.
I guess it wasn't a huge factor to me to begin with.
Yeah.
And Devin winning those fights. If somehow Devin didn't win those fights, there would be some serious problems because he won so lopsided and dominated so much.
Yeah,
but,
true.
I'm excited for it. And then, the winner by all means will get.
By all means.
Well, no, the winner will by all
means
we'll get Charlo.
Yeah.
And we need it.
Yeah.
Charlo Harrison 3.
Yeah.
Book it. Need it.
All right.
Be classic.
Here?
Oh, that'd be great.
If it's here, do you go? Because there was a fight, playing Benavidez, and you were like, nah, I don't want to go to that. If Tony Harrison
and Charlo is
in here,
I would prefer to go to the press conference than I would to the fight.
I already know that.
I'll watch the fight with Ant. I'll go to the press conference.
Yeah. All right, I got you.
But,
a
lot of fights coming up, and I know you guys will at some point preview them with the Showtime schedule out officially coming up. But I'm excited.
Let's send in our guests real quick. I got a nice little treat for you guys. You guys know that I like to do my motivation. Carson, got a bar?
Yeah, actually, two things.
Okay.
Two hip-hop things.
Okay.
One, anyone listening to this, go stream De La Soul.
Yeah.
They're finally on streaming platforms. RIP Trugoy, obviously one of the founding members of De La Soul, passed away. After years and years, their catalog is finally on all streaming. So if you got Apple Music, Spotify, open up accounts on both and stream it on there. But I've been running up numbers on Me, Myself, and I. But yeah, do that. And then what's a bar? How about Without a Rover got more range than Ray Ordonez? You don't know him, but baseball season. Shout out to Farrell Monch.
All right.
Official.
All right. Come on, Greg. Have a seat. What's up, man? How you doing? I'm good, boss. How you? Good, man. Yeah, thank you, man. Good to see you. You guys, have you been in the store before, right? GBR?
Not up towards Cleveland. I think I went to the one in Kent.
Oh,
There's one on campus. Yeah, in Kent State.
Yeah, we have one in Kent. Yep.
Yeah.
How long y'all had that one in Kent?
About almost 2 years now.
I did not know
We
that.
have 4 stores now.
Well, shoot, man. This makes it even better.
Yeah.
Introduce yourself real quick.
I'm Greg Vlosich from GV Art. Me and Sean go way back to Cleveland, and
I did not want to butcher that last name
Yeah.
all these years, and I was like, "That's it."
yeah.
Tell everybody what you do.
Yeah, so we have a creative boutique. We do everything from artwork. We're known now mostly for our apparel, which has become, the most popular brand in Cleveland. We started in 2007, with the apparel, and it actually started with my brother doing an Etch-a-Sketch of LeBron for the finals. And
I think we got that one. Throw up the Etch-a-Sketch right quick.
Yeah, when you say Etch-a-Sketch, people are like, what's that going to be?
You dove right into the whole story. I think we had that one. So is this the one?
That's Ali.
This is Ali.
So that's a Etch-a-Sketch, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
who did that one? You or your brother?
No, my brother. So I'm artistic. I do a lot of the the artwork and stuff for the everything else, but he does the Etch-a-Sketch. So I don't mess around with that.
You got the one with LeBron? See the one with, do you know who LeBron is? There it is. No.
Yeah, that's LeBron.
Kind of is it?
That's the one when they won the championship.
Okay,
so
yeah. But this is where it all started, right?
Three former
So
Cavaliers.
that was our first, going to T-shirts and stuff like that. We did a whole campaign around it for the NBA Finals. It had 1 million hits in a week. His video, and then we're like, that was a lot of fun. Let's do more with this and with the shirts. And we started the Cleveland That I Love brand and campaign, and it took off. And it was just really cool to see. We had people at first laughing at us, saying, "Who's going to wear Cleveland stuff?" And it's cool now, 15 years later, to see the pride in Cleveland is unmatched. So.
Are you guys like a lot of the stories out there where it started in the garage, it started in the basement?
Oh yeah, it started in my parents' basement, and my mom was a teacher, and she'd leave for work, and she'd say, "All right, there's 15 boxes in the living room." She's like, "These got to be out of here by the time I get back."
Yeah, right.
We get rid of all those.
That's a sales
ship them. We do
right
it,
there.
And then 15 more would come, and she's like, "I thought I told you." I'm like, "No, these are all new boxes." So we, we would have people coming by. We'd have 10, 15 people a day coming by my parents' basement to buy stuff. And we're like, all right, I think it's time to open up a store. So we opened up our shop in Lakewood in 2013. Quickly outgrew that one, and we've moved into a newer one there, and now we have 4 stores. So it's been great. Yeah.
I didn't know you have 4 stores.
Yep. We just opened our newest one in Avon last year. So
wow.
That one's,
Good for you, man. Congratulations.
Appreciate it, yeah.
That makes this even better. So I told you I wanted to bring you in and just kind of use you as a motivational message for this week's show. You being in here in Vegas, it kind of just made sense.
Yeah,
I wanted to catch up with you anyway, and so to me this made sense. Tell us some of the athletes you work with beyond doing LeBron's.
Yeah, so like our first collab was with the Goon Squad, so it was cool. A lot of the players were wearing our stuff, but that was our first kind of collab. Giambi called me and was like, "Hey, we got this locker room thing, but it's not everybody knows about it. We want you to put some ideas together." So we collab with the Goon Squad, and literally
they were the Cleveland Indians, now the Cleveland Gladiators.
Now they're the Guardians. Yeah. So I'm still used to saying Indians. I think everybody
throwback
is.
faces right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Little Michael Vilas action.
Yep. So that was cool, and they were just as excited to be a part of it as we were, and it's we're fans first and foremost. So that's the year after when they went to the World Series, we had the entire team came out the night before the World Series wearing our shirts and stuff. So that was pretty cool, and I know you're a big Browns fan, so we worked with Chubb and Myles Garrett. We launched a Jurassic Miles shirt and a Flash shirt and stuff like that. So it's just cool. All those guys come by the store.
Yeah.
And, you know, just as fans of Cleveland and of our teams now getting a chance to work with them and stuff. So that was cool. So we teamed up with the defense, and every week we'd get the defense different shirts, and they'd wear them to the games and like travel day and stuff like that. And then they'd wear them before the game. So Mac Wilson was good buddy, and he would stop by every week and get shirts for the guys and hook them up and stuff like that. So that was fun. But that was cool for the Browns playoff run.
Yeah.
I mean, everything took off. It was just cool to be a part of it. And,
Yeah.
you know how the guys were
That was
wearing the chain, the dog chain?
Uh-huh.
That was actually ours. So I pitched the guys. I was hey, we did this dog chain shirt. It's huge. Why don't we do an actual chain? They bought into it. It was their turnover chain.
Nice.
And when they beat the Steelers in the playoffs, they put it on 5 different times. They had 5 turnovers. So that was pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's just been, a thrill to see it grow and give back to the community. And
Hey,
stuff
does
too.
Myles Garrett have a nickname?
I don't think so.
They called him Flash. Like that was his thing.
Uh-huh.
First it was
Is that his social media too?
So his Flash is his thing, yeah. But like he was big into dinosaurs, so that's where
Okay, that's why I asked about that.
the Miles one, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And that's the thing. There's a lot of t-shirt companies, but we like to really kind of dive into what makes the player special or unique. With the Chubb one, when we launched that shirt, no one knew that he was a big Batman guy.
Yeah.
But his agent's like, hey, he loves Batman. If you can tie that in somehow, so we did a Batman Chubb shirt.
Yeah.
Took off, and now it's everybody knows that now, so it's pretty cool.
Hey, how old was your brother when he started doing the Etch-a-Sketches?
So I was 5, he was 10 when he started, and we were on a trip to Washington, D.C., and stopped at my parents' house to get the maps or whatever it was, and she had her old Etch-a-Sketch when she was a kid in the basement.
Yeah.
So she threw it in the car. She's like, that'll keep him occupied for a little bit.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he did the U.S. Capitol building. My parents stopped off at a gas station. They're like, we got to take a picture before you guys erase it.
Wow.
And he just kept working on it. So
Hold on, we'll leave that one on the screen for a second. But go ahead.
But we've been, from that picture, we've been painting and drawing since we were, 2 years old. My dad's artistic and put a pen and a ball in our hands.
Yeah.
And so that was us at the old stadium. We used to go down with posters and take them down there to the games and get the players to sign them and stuff. And so it's cool to come full circle now and do, what we love, which is sports and art, and really, combine them.
Back then, that is at a Cleveland Indians game. I can say it because
Municipal
it was a
Stadium. Yeah.
A municipal stadium. Back then, did you know what you wanted to do in life? Was this something that you aspired to do?
Yeah. Again, we knew we wanted to do something with sports and art. Never knew how. Never knew what it was going to do. At my teachers growing up, I'd be in art class and I'd be, you got to draw this house or this flower, and I'd be drawing sports guys and stuff. They'd never like that. You got to do this or this. And we knew what we loved. And I'd stay up till 4 a.m. drawing Kobe Bryant, but I didn't want to spend an hour on a house or something, So we knew, from a young age, this is what we wanted to do, but, didn't know to what extent or how we would do it. And I think that's the one thing, we started out more as a creative boutique and design service. We designed LeBron's logo, his like rookie year and stuff like that. And that was kind of more the direction we were going, along with like our high-end artwork and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the recession happened, and not everyone was going to spend thousands of dollars on artwork, but everybody, wanted a $20, $25 t-shirt. And that's really kind of was the perfect timing to, again, evolve our business and really just see where it, it took us and stuff. So.
You did basketball, right?
Yeah.
Did you play overseas?
I didn't play overseas.
Oh, okay.
So I went to art school my freshman year of college, and it was just too much art for me. And so I transferred to Cleveland State, ended up going to one open gym. Their coaches were at that open gym.
Yeah.
I played awesome against their starting point guard, and they're like, hey, you have any interest in walking on? I'm like, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, 2 weeks later, I went up against 8 other kids, and I beat them all out for the walk-on spot. Sweet. And then I played 4 years there.
Sweet.
So that was pretty cool. So how
far did you want to take basketball? Like as a kid, did you want to be?
I mean, that would have been my first love and goal was basketball. Yeah. I mean, I taped, Jason Williams games and Iverson's games and all that before they were, on all the time.
Sure.
And just studied their moves and stuff. So that was my first passion. But it's cool now to be able to still be in that area and work with those guys and stuff like that. So, but that would have, I'd pass up the shirts to play some NBA.
You didn't send us any art that you've done.
Okay.
But did you? Hopefully, we'll get something up eventually. But you still do art yourself?
Yeah, I still do a lot of the art, and so I handle a lot of the social media for us and stuff as well. But I mean, it's a very collaborative process between my brother, my dad, and I, and we have one other artist who's awesome.
Yeah.
But it's all we brainstorm the ideas together, and my brother comes from the ad background where he worked at an ad agency, for 10 years. So when players come to us, a lot of or companies, we work with a lot of charities. We'll give them 5-6 ideas for them to pick from because we're creative and we love being creative. And it's not, hey, here's one idea, this is what we're doing type of thing. So,
got anything?
No. I have multiple shirts.
Nice. Yeah.
I feel like the last one I had was probably probably one of the Jose Ramirez ones.
Yeah.
Yes, by Jose.
That was cool because again, it's fun when the guys buy into it. And Jose, he didn't take that shirt off literally all year. And so I remember the first time we went to the Indians practice back when they were the Indians, and they had us come to BP and stuff like that. And Brantley had our birthplace of a Superman shirt on underneath, and we've tried for years. He wore that for like 3 straight years. We tried to get him a new one. He's like, no, this is my superstition now. Like, I don't take this one off type of thing. So, but it's always fun when the guys get behind it and they, really support it and stuff like that.
That's another thing for me. Like, I never realized the kind of effect that would have on people. Did that ever come into your mind?
With us?
Yeah.
I mean, no, not really. And like, I still don't think of it as much. People around me are always, people come up to us at the games and stuff like that and stop us. And I actually had people here in Vegas that recognize us and stuff
straight
like
up,
that, which was cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I don't really think anything of it, but people like around are always like, oh my gosh, like, do you ever think about that? I'm like, no, not really. And I'm sure you're the same way. We're like,
no, never knew. And I do motivation now because of it.
Yeah, exactly.
So eventually it's like you have to just kind of take what God is giving you to,
right,
leading you to. So
well, and that's the thing too. With like a lot of the shirts, we'll try to tie in with the charity. So like the Myles Garrett one, we did something with Footpath Foundation. Nice. So we raised over like $10,000 the first couple of weeks for that. And then when Andrew Miller came to the Indians, we did a Miller Time shirt. Yeah, and we raised like $14,000 for his charity and stuff like that. So there's always we're always trying to kind of give back or tie it in. And work with our goal when we started was to team up with Cleveland businesses, and now it's pretty cool to see how many, it's hundreds of them that we've teamed up with and stuff. So
I love it. 4 stores, right?
Yep, 4 stores.
Avon is the newest.
Yep.
What Kent would be the second newest?
Third. Yeah, second newest. Second
newest. Yeah, and then you're still in Lakewood.
Lakewood's our main one. So if you're in town, come check that one out. And then Willoughby was our second one.
Yeah, and Willoughby. Yeah. I don't think I ever went to the Willoughby one.
It's a little hike from.
I was gonna say it's out.
But you're
out there, man.
I know Willoughby. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I know Willoughby. I don't think I've been out there
to Lake County
to your store.
Yeah, it's right by the captains. Yeah.
The motivation behind this. First of all, congratulations and thank you for everything that you do for the businesses back home and the charities. I'm big on charities and things like that. So
absolutely.
Definitely want to tell you I appreciate you for that. And this is the motivation that I have for this week. Pull up the small little drawn logo. And when I contacted you about coming in here to do the podcast today, I was like, cool. I just wanted to talk about you and the things that you've done for me and things like that. I ended up at breakfast with my family yesterday, and we were at IHOP. They didn't have anything for the kids to draw, but they brung blank pieces of paper with crayons. And so I ended up drawing this here, and I had to redraw it because I didn't have the original. We ended up leaving it at IHOP. But as I was drawing that right there at breakfast, my wife said, "What are you drawing?" I said, "Oh, well, this is what I thought was going to be my logo when I was a kid. I've always knew what I was going to do in life. I always knew that I was going to be on TV. I always knew that I was going to be in athletics, and the list goes on. I started working on my autograph when I was like 10, 11 years old, which is why I take a lot of pride in my signature because I've been working on it for a long time. I've always knew what I was going to do. I've always had a dream, and that's what I want to tell everybody out there. Kids who are boxing right now, you're 10, 11 years old, you have someone who's fighting, you have someone who's doing art, you have someone who's playing football, basketball, whatever the case may be. Keep going. It does not stop unless you stop it. You have to have a dream. And if you have a dream, you keep following that dream, you'll end up with 4 stores around the city where you were just a kid trying to get someone else's autograph. Now people probably want your autograph.
Yep.
It can happen, but you have to have a dream. And the reason why I showed that logo right there is because I was a teenager when I started doing that logo, but I knew I'm going to have a logo someday.
Yep.
And after I drew that,
horrendous, by the way. Let me just get that out.
Doesn't matter because while I'm at breakfast and I draw that, showing the family and all that.
Kids drew that.
No. The thought comes
Look,
in.
he's had on his
I said,
face for the past 5 minutes. It's been great.
Great thing I got Greg coming in, because look at my logo now. Something that Greg and his brother and everyone put together. But that's where it started. It started with a dream. Me knowing what I wanted to do in life. And I'll tell my testimony really quickly. My mom, we grew up in church, and I remember I was probably about 7, 8 years old. My mom said to me, God gives everyone gifts, and it's our job to use our gifts to bring other people to God. Yep. And so I always knew that. I'm like 10 years old, and I see Jerome Bettis score a touchdown. And he dropped down on his knee. You could see that he said a quick prayer, and he pointed to the sky. And I said, that's what I'm going to do with my life. And that's how I'm going to bring glory to God. I'm going to get down on my knee, just like you guys see when I would be in the ring. And I'm going to give God the glory, give him his moment, in the moment that everybody sees me having a moment, you know? Yep. But it came from a dream. And that's what I want to say to everybody right there. You show the other logo real quick. They say, hey, you got this one right here. You know how Nike breaks it up. You got the SP, and then you got the whole thing where the Nike is right there with it. Showtime Shawn P. And so you guys really, you did some work for me back in the day. And I wanted to, again, publicly tell you I appreciate that work you did for me. We're still using it, still making it work. I love it. You see, you got the cross on it, you know, so that's where it all came from. But the point of this today is just, I want everybody to understand that you can be a kid in an arena. And if you have a dream when you're a kid in the arena, you look up. As long as you do everything you need to do, you stay focused, you stay dedicated, you keep growing and learning, listening to those who are teaching you and guiding you and things like that, you'll look up and you'll be everything that you had dreamt you could be, because you stay with it, you have faith, and you went for it. This is the Porter Way.